Most dating advice nowadays just give average men something new to optimize. Lift weights, dress better, learn game, or according to the newest wave of looks maxing advice, just get plastic surgery. But oftentimes, very little of it meaningfully changes their results. What will actually change outcomes for average men? Over the last 6 years, I transformed from this to this. And throughout that time, I've been on hundreds of dates across dozens of cities around the world. And that gave me a clear sense of which factors actually made a difference and which ones mattered far less than I originally thought. So today, I will be ranking every major dating lever for average men based on 2 things: its impact on dating opportunities and how attainable it is for the average guy. Some of you may think you already know the answer and that it's just improving your looks, but I'm going to spoil it for you now. It's not. Each lever will receive an impact rating from S to C, with S meaning this lever will give you access to not only high quality women, but a large quantity of them. All the way down to C, which means this lever won't really have much impact for the average guy. Now, quality is obviously subjective, so for simplicity, I'm going to use it interchangeably in this video to mean visually attractive, highly sought after women that most men will want to date. I'll also consider each lever's attainability, how easy or how realistic it is for the average guy to obtain. Obviously, luck and exceptions exist. These rankings are meant to reflect the expected result for average men, not what may happen in one particular instance. The first lever is hitting the gym. Being strong and muscular is attractive to women, but if you're just hitting the gym and getting big, that won't really be enough to change dating outcomes for average guys. Being aesthetic is what really moves the needle. In the first photo, I was arguably stronger and had more muscle than I did in the second photo, but obviously I look better in the second photo, and that's what gets results on dating apps. If you can get an aesthetic physique, you can get a decent amount of attention when it comes to dating. Now, part of it is that having an aesthetic physique means you probably also have a pretty lean face and don't have a lot of facial body fat. A tier for quantity, but it is not that easy to achieve because it is dependent on your genetics and your discipline. The next one is getting lean. The distinction between this one and the previous one is that this one mainly focuses on reducing your facial fat. Most people look substantially better at a lower body fat than they do higher, even if they're starting at a normal body fat. Take me, for example. In the first picture, I was by no means fat or overweight. But in the second picture, most people would agree that I look better, and that's primarily because I was leaner. But being lean doesn't work as well in isolation compared to being muscular and getting lean. It also does not fix weak facial features or other bottlenecks. For example, even though I got lean, I still felt like I had some facial features that were holding me back, which eventually led to me getting plastic surgery. Also A tier for quantity. The next one is optimizing your face. This includes fixing acne, your teeth, or optimizing other features of your face through cosmetic or surgical interventions. By default, this will include getting lean as well, because that is a big part of optimizing your face. Facial optimization can be very effective in increasing quantity if done properly, but it is not reliable by itself in creating access to high quality women. These women have many options, and oftentimes their man being good looking is just one item on their long list of requirements. That's why the visual levers we have discussed so far are more effective at increasing quantity rather than unlocking quality. Looks create broad interest, and most of that interest is going to be coming from average women. The issue with optimizing your face is that the biggest impact changes often require surgery. So it is not accessible for most guys because surgery is risky, expensive, and potentially taboo. It's also easy for guys to get fixated on low ROI changes. Give me, for example, anytime I make a video related to looks, there will be comments about what else I can do to improve my face. And the comments aren't necessarily wrong, but I had already made the biggest ROI changes on my face. Making further refinements won't really change my dating results that much at this point. A tier for quantity. It is pretty effective when done well. The next one is managing hair loss. When hair loss is pretty obvious and has a meaningful impact on your appearance, addressing it can be a real game changer for guys. But fixing it often isn't that straightforward because getting a hair transplant is expensive and not all guys will look good bald. I'm going to put it at A tier for quantity, and I only put it this high because if you're balding and you still look average, you probably will look pretty good once you fix it. The next one is improving your hairstyle or your facial hair. Now, going from a genuinely bad hairstyle to an ideal one can make a huge difference, but most average guys aren't walking around with horrible hairstyles. Going from an okay one to a good one won't really change their dating results that much. Facial hair works similarly. You either have strong facial hair genetics or you don't. Facial hair is also situationally attractive. Some women love it, while others prefer clean shaven. Hairstyle and facial hair also are stronger when they fit into a larger, coherent aesthetic. For example, an Asian guy trying a K-pop max would benefit a lot from a Korean hairstyle. Another good example is a bald guy growing a beard. But because the impact is situational, B tier. The next one is getting better photos. This covers how you present yourself on dating apps or on social media. Better photos can make you seem higher status and more put together as a man. Photos are essentially marketing, but unless you're catfishing, they won't save a mediocre product, which limits the impact for average guys. I made a full video discussing that here if you're interested. It's relatively easy to get good photos compared to other levers. You can just ask a friend or pay for them. B tier. Next, we have improving your fashion game. Similar to photos, having good fashion sense can make an average guy stand out and look better. Some women may say they're attracted to guys who dress a certain way, but usually it's just correlation or niche appeal. If everything else about the guy is actually average, just changing his outfits won't really make much of a difference for him. For example, if I had only changed my outfits back then, it would have made no difference for me. B tier. Next, we have increasing your height. And this means actually getting leg lengthening surgery, not insoles or height frauding. Height surgery has the biggest impact for guys who are significantly below average height, because going from short to average height can take them from being almost completely invisible to actually having a chance. For guys going from average height to above average height, the impact is less dramatic, but women still generally like taller guys. So being taller will most likely increase the raw volume of women open to dating you, but it won't solve everything. It will not reliably help with high quality women because, like looks, height is often not the only thing they want in a man. Being tall is also not rare enough, nor does it directly benefit a woman enough to guarantee access to the high quality ones. Like your physique and your face, it is a visual lever, effective at generating broad interest. However, the cost, physical burden, and long-term risks are exceptional, so it will not be practical for most guys. A tier for quantity. Next, we have improving your personality or social skills. Personality matters much more when a woman is already interested in you based off your extrinsic value. Having social skills can also help in the initial stages of interactions, but if she isn't physically attracted to you, you're more likely to end up in a friend zone. It's certainly possible to get a relationship with this method, but it's not scalable, so the impact is limited for average guys. Obviously, there are unattractive personality traits, such as being extremely insecure, socially uncalibrated, or just a straight up asshole, and addressing those can be more effective because they could be actively sabotaging existing opportunities. But if you're an average guy with a normal personality, trying to manufacture a completely different persona just to get girls isn't recommended or practical. Dating should be partially about finding people whose personalities are compatible to yours, not trying to become a fake person. B tier. Next, we have improving your text game. Similar to personality, in an ideal world, texting a girl should be effortless. You shouldn't have to change your entire communication style just to talk to women. The way you text should reflect how you communicate in real life. Otherwise, there will be obvious incongruence when you actually meet up. As such, there is no such thing as a good text game that applies to every guy. Good text game is just mostly avoiding bad texting behavior. That means not being painfully dry, needy, overtly sexual, or not moving the conversation along to an actual date. In the real world, trying so hard with text game tends to just extend weak conversations that don't have a high chance of converting to good outcomes. Most of my successful dates had a smooth texting process where the women cooperated and made it easy for us to meet up. Text game can help maintain interest, but it is unreliable at generating interest if none existed in the first place. B tier. Next, we have just be nice. Most of you already know this doesn't really work. Most women say they want effort, but it is only truly appreciated from a guy they already want. So that means it's more important when you're already in a relationship for maintaining attraction. Low B tier. Next, we have paying for dating app subscriptions. Dating app subscriptions tend to fall into two buckets. The first is quality of life features, such as being able to see your likes, rewinds, or extra filters. The second is exposure features that allow you to be seen by more women or prioritizes your likes, or just give you straight up more likes. However, for average guys, having more likes or being seen by more women often just means you get rejected more. For example, if you're an average guy and you have a low conversion rate and say 1 out of 100 women like you, increasing your exposure to 200 women may just mean now you get 2 women that match with you. On paper, it's a 100% increase, but going from 1 match to 2 matches won't really change your results. Subscriptions amplify the dating experience you already have. It won't change it from bad to good. C tier. This is probably the least useful lever for average guys. Next, we have cold approach. This entails both day game or night game. Cold approach can work to some extent, but it is not efficient at all for average guys. It's basically door-to-door sales for a mediocre product. If you're just shoving your product in people's faces all day long, eventually someone might buy it. But the worse the product, the harder it will be to sell. It's often more effective to just improve the product first. It is useful to have the skill and confidence to approach a woman when a strong opportunity arises, but it is not viable as a main dating lever for average guys. High volume cold approach can give an average guy a lucky break from time to time, but it is unlikely to give him abundance, especially if he has any standards at all. The results from cold approach are also directly tied to your time investment. It's basically the dating world's equivalent of trading your time for money, except instead of money now, it's for sexual opportunities. B tier. It can work, but its effectiveness is situational. Next, we have warm approach. When it happens organically, warm approach can create more compatible prospects because you already share context, mutual connections, and repeated exposure. However, it cannot be reliably engineered or scaled. You can put yourself in more warm environments, but you cannot reliably create a predictable supply of warm prospects. You cannot hit on every woman at work within a week. You need to be selective and patient. And because of that, the volume and impact of this for average guys is limited. B tier. Next, we have changing your location. This means moving to a bigger city where there's more potential prospects. This lever is almost guaranteed to make a difference for average guys. It is one of the most reliable ways to improve dating volume without actually changing anything about the underlying guy. To oversimplify it, if you move somewhere with several times the population of where you are currently, you will get substantially more dating prospects, even if it's not directly proportional. Larger cities simply have more people looking to date, and is especially effective on dating apps because you can see all of them just from your phone. Even a very attractive guy may have limited results in a small town because there simply aren't that many single people looking to date. It's the population, not his attractiveness, that's the constraint. After I had improved my profile, I would get maybe 100 or 200 likes a week in Philadelphia. But whenever I set my location to New York City, which has 4 times the population, I could get the same volume within a day. Being a passport bro is just a variant of this with its own set of advantages and disadvantages. The limitation of this lever is that most guys cannot simply get up and move wherever they want. A tier for quantity. Next, we have improving your income or focusing on your career. Now, for the purposes of discussion, I need to define what a good income is, and that will be relative to your location and your age. I will use top 10% income as an arbitrary benchmark, and that comes out to about $200,000 in the US, but it could be higher if you're in a city like New York City or San Francisco. At that point, it may be more like 300 or 400K a year. Having a good income and actually being willing to spend it on dating will unlock access to high quality women more effectively than visual levers. Let me explain why. Highly desirable women naturally have many dating options, and the ones that have reasonable expectations often get locked down early. So the single ones are likely to be the picky ones. They generally start out by wanting everything. They want a guy that's tall, rich, good looking, loyal, and treats them well. Obviously, there aren't many of these guys walking around. These high quality women eventually do settle, and when they do, it's oftentimes the rich, average looking guy rather than the broke, good looking guy. If you look around, most hot women are dating a competent, successful guy who may or may not be good looking. But the criteria here is that being good looking is optional. Having money is non-negotiable. That is because your looks benefit her indirectly. It is more decorative, and its novelty can wear off pretty quickly if you have nothing else to offer. On the other hand, money can directly improve her life. It provides value through the form of experiences, convenience, and material possessions. This is also supported by hypergamy. Most men would agree that women are hypergamous. So if you're both good looking and you have nothing else to offer her, that's not really hypergamy now because you're equal. But if you're able to provide resources and experiences to her, now you're adding to her life. That is also why we sometimes observe good looking guys failing to date their looks matched counterparts because it wouldn't be hypergamy otherwise. A tier for quality. But most men will not obtain this because it is a top 10% income, so only a minority will obtain it by definition. Next, we have increasing your status. Status is attractive because it signals you have some level of competence, authority, and influence within a hierarchy or environment. Examples include being the quarterback of your high school football team, a member of the top fraternity at your university, or a well-known and respected figure in a professional field. Depending on the environment, status can broadly increase your dating opportunities or give you access to high-quality women within that social hierarchy, or both. The quarterback dating the hottest girl at school, while also probably being able to date many other girls, is an obvious example of when status can give you both quality and quantity. However, status is context dependent. Its influence is limited to within that social hierarchy, and its dating impact is limited by the prospects that are available within that environment. These positions are also extremely difficult to engineer. You cannot simply decide to become the quarterback or the most influential person within an established group. The men that are able to achieve these positions also tend to be competent in some way or attractive. So it's very unlikely for an average guy to be able to obtain these things while still remaining completely average. I'll place it between the two A tiers because it could get quality or quantity depending on the context. Finally, we have the last lever, becoming wealthy. Having wealth is distinct from the income lever we discussed previously because it takes the same mechanism to another level. This means extreme, life-changing wealth, not just having a good salary. I'll pick another arbitrary percentile here, top 0.1% net worth. That would be somewhere around $25 to $50 million in the US. At this level, you have complete control over your location, lifestyle, and the experiences you can provide to potential dating prospects. You could also realistically attain all the other levers in this ranking by simply throwing money at them. As a result, you not only gain access to high quality women, but a meaningful quantity of them. This does not mean you can get any woman or any high quality woman. It just means you could get a high quality woman whenever you want. Of course, dating opportunities obtained through wealth does not guarantee genuine attraction, loyalty, or long-term compatibility. Most of these women are probably in it for the money and the lifestyle you can provide. But remember, this ranking is about what creates legitimate dating opportunities for average men, not what determines long-term relationship quality. However, this level of wealth is not realistic for most guys to obtain. It's probably the least accessible thing on this list. S tier, because it's the clearest lever that is capable of providing both quantity and access to high quality prospects. With the full ranking on the screen, the pattern is pretty clear. The more difficult a lever is to attain, the more effective it tends to be. Wealth, status, and high surgery can have major impact, but they're not realistic recommendations for most guys. For average guys, the most practical levers are improving your physique, getting lean, improving your face and hair, and moving to a better location if you aren't already in one. Everything else, better photos, better outfits, social skills, they can give you limited results, but they will not reliably transform your dating experience. Using me as an example, if I still look like this, but I worked on my text game, my photos, or my outfits, or my social skills, it really would not have done anything. My results would have been abysmal. Many dating coaching offers are in the B tier because they are easier to market and sell. But the downside is that they tend to have limited impact on actual results, which honestly may be part of the business model because that allows them to upsell clients into endless coaching. For the average guy, there are no shortcuts. Meaningfully improving your dating results requires actually increasing your value, not repackaging yourself with better photos, text game, or trying to brute force opportunities with endless code approaches.